Actually, I was in my second year of law school when Jericho Road started. With no plan, no clue, I'll be here this evening celebrating the 20th anniversary of Jericho Road. I'm privileged, and God is faithful. Good evening. We are all familiar with the parable of the Good Samaritan, right? A man is going down the road from Jerusalem to Jericho and falls among robbers. Two religious people see him and pass by, but a Samaritan stopped to help. One of the chief points is your neighborhood is anyone in need. With this in mind, let's imagine that the next day, the same Samaritan is traveling the road again and comes across another person bleeding on the side of the road. A few weeks later, this happens again, and then again, and again. As it turns out, every time he makes the trips from Jerusalem to Jericho, he comes across another person lying in the road. Then he looks up and sees hundreds, thousands of people likewise lying along the road, beaten, bleeding, and wrapped. What should the Samaritan do? We are all the Samaritan. What should we do in this case? When we see one person in need, we help. When we see multitude in need, we of course still give whatever direct help we can. But if we are truly to love our neighbor as ourselves, we also need to give thought to how we can help people on a larger scale. How can we address the underlying conditions that are causing so many people to fall into that situation in their first place? Why are we coming here in the US, whether as immigrants or as refugees? Why? This is where Jericho Road Community Health Center and its founder, Mike Rodriguez, and all the staff and donors have been showing dedication, passion, compassion, and support for global health outreach. Mama Fabian, who's not with us, in Sierra Leone, is the perfect example of that effort. She fled her native country, came to US, worked for Jericho Road, and later decided to go back home to try to help with the support of Jericho Road family. What specifically does it mean for us today? If you support Jericho Road Global Outreach effort, be encouraged. The work you are doing is good and pleasing to God. Though you don't recognize it often, but your support, your money, your time, your effort is doing far more than just giving or donating. You are actually part of God's solution to help lifting out poverty, our broken developing countries, whether in Kono, in Sierra Leone, in Goma, in Congo, where medical facilities have been built and are operating, and hopefully soon in Nepal. If you support the Jericho Road Road global outreach efforts, you are making a huge difference overseas to save the life of many. If you support the Jericho Road global outreach effort, you are certainly playing a vital role by providing jobs and paying wages year after year out there. At the end of the day, Jericho Road Global Outreach is contributing to lift Sierra Leone, Congo, or elsewhere out of poverty. Is not this an affirmation and a continuation of the parable of the Good Samaritan overseas? Thank you for being part of that calling. You are truly making a big difference. Long life to Jericho Road. God bless. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Fidel. Coming up next is our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Christopher Campbell, to highlight our future projections for the local work here.
So, Myron, 3 medical visits the first week, huh? I think we're all glad that Myron's productivity improved over the years. So yeah, I've been asked to speak just for a couple of minutes about the future of Jericho Road. What do you say about what Jericho Road's going to become? What would you say about what Jericho Road's going to become? 20 years ago, what would you have said Jericho would be today? I don't think any of us would have thought it would be this. So for me to have a couple minutes to say what I think Jericho is going to become in 20 years, what would you say? So let me start with a little story that I think maybe sets my answer a little bit for what I think it might become. It's a little story about a Yale professor and his student. The Yale professor was cleaning out his office after another successful year. And just as he was packing up the last of his books, Charles, his prized student, was walking by. He hurried into the hallway and called out his name. Charles, do you have a minute? Charles wasn't in a hurry. There was no more classes to get to, no more exams to study for, just the quiet empty halls with papers laying on the ground, evidence of a good long year gone by. Charles, have a seat. I wanted to mention in all my years of teaching, you are my prized student. Thank you, sir, Charles replied. Charles, you graduated at the top of your class and passed the bar with flying colors. And now that you've done so, son, what then? Well, sir, I'm hoping to open up a little practice, find a few clients and serve them. Well, yes, the professor, I figured you would. After you hang your little sign and win a few cases, what then? Well, sir, I'm hoping to open up a little practice and find a few clients. Well, sir, I sure hope to find a nice young lady who would be my wife, and we would raise a few kids. And I'm not sure what kind of a parent I'll be, but we'll try. Yes, Charles, I understand. I have a few kids myself, although they're grown now and no longer living at home. They turned out just fine. And Charles, after you find a wonderful young lady to share life with and have a few children, what then? Well, I hope I would build up the practice and have a long career. Yes, Charles, I'm quite certain you will have a long, successful career, said the professor. And after you do so, son, what then? Well, I haven't really thought that far ahead. I suppose it would be a time to retire, to take my little sign down and hopefully enjoy some grandkids. Yes, grandchildren, they're wonderful, said the professor. And after a few years of retirement and chasing your grandchildren around, what then? Well, sir, I suppose it'd be time to pack it in, call it a life, and move on. Yes, Charles, and after a long and successful life, and you do pass on, what then? You know, the professor with his student, as he's interacting with them and just sharing this conversation with them, I'm sure he's at a place where he wanted to put the student in a place to be thinking of things that were really important about the future. You only have one life to invest. How are you going to invest it? Have you thought thoughtfully considered what's important to invest in? Are you going to do that? I sure hope that you're thinking that a worthwhile investment is investing in other people. And I hope you understand that investing in others is something that lasts longer than your own life. To invest in other people, investing in other people and that work will continue on long after you pass away. It's an eternal investment. Well, will our lives be well invested in the future at Jericho? I suppose the professor's answer to that would be, it will be if we continue to ask the question, what then? Then it'll continue to be worthwhile. Maybe we could rewrite this little story a bit as we consider the future of Jericho Road. Myron, decades ago, you sat in a classroom and dreamed of becoming a doctor in an obscure place in a faraway land filled with people of great need. But you and your partner Joyce were invited by a few people from a small church to hang a little sign called Jericho Road Family Practice on a rundown building in a rundown neighborhood filled with people who had been run down in life. And you hung your sign and you invited some faithful people with names like Paul and Julie and Barb and Jenny and Sonia and Yvette and Eleanor and Sister Helen to join you, and you built up a practice, patient by patient, family by family. And together you helped rebuild a community. And not many months ago, we asked you to spend some time thinking about the future and what should become of Jericho Road. And your answer was that we needed to hang another sign somewhere on Broadway, on the Lower East Side. And we found a place on Broadway, and our plan is, as you know, to have primary care, pharmacy, and behavioral health. We'll provide diabetes, support and education and spiritual care, and eventually OBGYN. And we'll work together with organizations like Mad Urban and Epic and others. And perhaps a fitness center will end up in there, and a daycare and a cafe. And Myron, after we build another 30 exam rooms at 1021 Broadway and hire another 20 providers to serve 30,000 patients, God willing, what then? Mark and Joelle, it would be quite a task to rehab a 100,000 square foot building filled with good tenants. It will be a costly project, but we're convinced it will be one that blesses another community, maybe one that even helps to launch the rebirth of another area that's vital to this city. And no doubt it will help advance the kingdom and the interests of our King. Mark and Joelle, after you fill this building with hundreds of mission supporting people, what then? Anna and Mariah, in this year alone, you've helped hundreds of wandering families and children at Vive. And while we are living in a day where helping these marginalized people isn't valued as it was in the past, you've navigated our response well. And over the next 10 years, you'll likely help out another 30,000 asylees find a place that they can call home. And over the next 10 years, our providers will carry out another 1 million medical encounters while Anna Madiova helps to teach another 1,000 refugees a language that will help them thrive in this city. And Karen Forrester, over the next decade, our Priscilla Project program will help another 3,000 first-time refugee moms experience the joy of having a first-time delivery. Paul and Perna and Norman and Han, quietly you decided to travel to a country ravished by earthquake and desperate for care. You experienced your vision for our global work beyond, you expanded our vision for global work beyond that of Sierra Leone and the Congo. And you set your sights on a remote village in the Himalayas, willing to walk for miles and even sleep among the sheep if it was necessary. You set up a makeshift medical clinic and touched the lives of 500 Nepali villagers. Perna, Paul, Norman, Han, after you build a clinic in Area 11 and create a hub for medical workers and pastors to serve there, what then? I don't exactly know what is beyond the next year or two to have the answer as to what Jericho will become in the next couple decades. I do know that with the same faith and trust in our King, we will keep our ears open to his calling and our eyes open to where he is busy. And with his invitation, we will continue to work. We will continue to accomplish the work that is in front of us while continuing to ask the question, what then? Myron, on more than one occasion, you and I have sat together at Marco's and you've ordered your bowl of soup, and I ordered my salad, and you've paused mid-sentence, interrupting us mid-conversation about what's next, and you said, Chris, we don't have too many years left to have an impact on this earth. I don't want my life to be wasted away. We just need to make the most of it. Myron and Joyce, thank you for reminding us to use the time and the talents we have to invest in the lives of others who may have less materially and less opportunity. And thank you for constantly asking us to consider how we could continue to expand our influence as we continue to wrestle with the question, what then? And thank you for constantly reminding us of Matthew's words in the gospel. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroys and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
Thank you so much, Chris. Over the last few months, the partner development team has been working on a new general video. At this time, please turn your attention to the screens for the premiere of the video.
What do we all have in common? We wake up, we get ready, we get moving. We also share the desire to live meaningful lives. At Jericho Road Community Health Center, we believe in providing the opportunity for every man, woman, and child to be healthy, happy, and whole. Jericho Road Community Health Center provides a culturally sensitive medical home, especially for refugee and low-income community members. We stand for quality medical care for all, regardless of ability to pay. And we also believe in empowering community programs that allow families to better succeed and thrive.
Jericho Road started in 1997 as a private family practice dedicated to serving the poor. We've grown over the last 20 years into a community health center that employs over 250 people here in Buffalo. And we also have health centers in 2 countries in Africa.
Some of our Buffalo-based medical services include routine individual and family care, maternity care, children's health, specialized diabetes care, and behavioral health. Jericho Road believes in building lasting personal relationships with our patients in order to provide individuals and families with superior integrative care.
When I was accepted into medical school at UB and actually came here and saw the way the poor were treated, I was pretty shocked. I had not really realized that that's the way the poor are treated in this country, this rich country. And I think that's when God started working in my life to say, hey, there's an opportunity to make a difference here in Buffalo. To me, healthcare is a basic human right. And I believe that because God's created every person in His image.
Our community development programs provide a hand up for those striving to navigate daily life in Buffalo. Programs range from mentoring and doula services for pregnant mothers to English as a second language classes and an in-home early childhood development program.
If you're going to make a difference long-term in a community like the one that we serve and work in, you need to address not only the physical, it's interrelated. That's what we've tried to design here now at Jericho Road, because we have doctors providing healthcare, and we have a spiritual care team that prays with patients, and we have counselors, and we have a whole set of community-based programs trying to make a difference in some of the root causes of why our patients come in sick in the first place.
Good. Now you read. Do you have the same thing written down?
Jericho Road's global health outreach tangibly demonstrates the love of God by providing medical services that address health disparities in the home countries of our refugee patients. Currently, Jericho Road operates 2 global clinics that provide primary care, vaccinations, and surgical procedures for the most vulnerable. The clinics are located in Kono District, Sierra Leone, and Goma, Democratic Republic of Congo.
The world has come to Buffalo. now what's even more special is we're getting a chance to follow some of these folks back to their country. We've been blessed so that we can expand our vision beyond Buffalo to other countries, and it's a really amazing privilege.
From Western New York to some of the world's most underserved countries, join Jericho Road Community Health Center in helping to provide the opportunities for all to become healthy, happy, and whole.
Every time I watch that video, I want to cry. I am so blessed to be here. If you asked me 11 months ago, would I be at Jericho Road? I would tell you no. It is nothing but God's grace why I'm here in the work that I'm doing. I have been here for 24 years, and in a week and some change, I will be back in Africa, in Sierra Leone. For the first time, I have not been in Africa since I've been here. And this opportunity wouldn't even be possible if I wasn't doing what I'm doing with Jericho. In entering this, I was so nervous. And I had a conversation with Dr. Glick, and I said, how do you deal with the poverty? How am I going to deal with it? I was so nervous about it. And he said a few things to me. The one that resonates the most to me is remembering that in going back there, we're doing something about it. And that gave me total peace. Total peace. I'm so ready for this trip. My husband doesn't know I may not come back, but that's neither here nor there. But I am so blessed to be here. Thank you for everyone who's been here helping us get to where we are today. So at this point, I just wanted to do a little wrap up. So from the east side of Buffalo, based on everything that we've highlighted, to the west side of Buffalo, from Sierra Leone to the Democratic Republic of Congo, every single person in this room has played an instrumental role in building up the walls of Jericho Road, and for that, we say thank you. At this time, I would just like to recognize those who have continued to help us and connect the dots to help us get to where we are today and where we're going. So I need everyone to participate in this next activity. So when I talk about connection, I'm talking about family members, I'm talking about volunteers, friends, supporters, business partners, current employees, as well as past employees. If you have been involved and connected to Jericho for the last 2 years or less, please raise your hands and keep it up. If you have been connected to Jericho Road for the last 2 to 5 years, please raise your hands and keep it up. First group, keep your hands up, please. If you've been involved and connected to Jericho for the last 5 to 10 years, please raise your hands and keep it up. Keep in mind when I say connection, it's friends, family, supporters. So by the end of this, everybody's hands should be up, right? 10 to 15 years, please raise your hands and keep them up. 15 to 20 years, please raise your hands and keep them up. Look around the room. We are all a part of this journey together. Please give us a round of applause. We truly thank you all for your long, faithful commitment to Jericho Road. I would like to also thank all the musicians and dancers who've helped contribute to this evening. In closing, I just wanted to end with 2 quotes. Michelle Obama said, "History has shown us that courage can be contagious and hope can take on a life of its own. 20 years from now, when we reflect back on the 40 years, may it be full of stories of courage and hope as we are each called to action." Scripture says, "Faith is not knowing what the future holds, but knowing who holds the future." May we continue to trust in the God who has continued to remain faithful to us. At this time, I just ask that we all bow our heads in prayer. Father God, your children come before you to just say thank you for all that you have done and all that